Prices in the military, troop levels, equipment, aircraft, all depleted at record lows. We'll be right back. U.S. military officials declaring that military resources are, quote, depleted in all branches of the armed forces, and they're blaming budget constraints as a major cause of the problem. Joining me now to discuss, Lea Gabriel and Jessie Jane Duff. Lea, you've been on top of this, and it's shocking. I don't think American public understands the depth of the problem.
No, but the vice chiefs of the services were on the Hill this past week talking to legislators in the House and Senate Armed Services Committee and basically saying something has got to change. They were explaining that what needs to happen is the Budget Control Act of 2011, which set caps on military spending, needs to be repealed. That also triggered sequestration, which are automatic across-the-board spending cuts that went into effect in 2013. The vice service chiefs were basically saying, you know, we were having serious problems for military readiness long-term. Here are some stats for you. The Navy, smallest it's been in 99 years. More than 60% of F-18s are grounded for maintenance reasons. And the Army, of its 58 brigade combat teams, that's the basic deployable unit, only 3 of those right now would be ready to fight today if they needed to. Only 3. And then of all of those teams, about a third of them would take 30 days to ramp up. In the Marine Corps, 80% of its aviation units are below the minimum number of aircraft for training and readiness. And the Air Force says that they have a pilot shortage, a fighter pilot shortage. They're flying less hours than the hollow force of the 70s, as the Vice Chief of the Air Force explained it, Vice Chief of Staff. Now, critics would say the U.S. military, the U.S. spends more on the military than any other country in the world. Last year, around $600 billion if you include the overseas contingency warfighting funds. But I did speak with a senior military analyst at the Conservative Heritage Foundation who basically explained the U.S. has taken a stewardship role in the world in a time of increasing global instability. Take a listen to what he said.
Okay.
Russia, China, North Korea will continue to try to bolster their influence in the world and expand their region of influence and solidify that. Unfortunately, no one else is going to challenge that.
Heritage Foundation also did basically an assessment of military readiness and said that everyone in the service is weak or marginal when we have high threats around the world. So the military is looking to increase its budget by $30 billion just this year.
You know, Gunny, and it's not just the depleted hardware, if you will. It's also the way they were treated in the last administration. Do you sense that that esprit de corps, that excitement about being in the military, is coming back now?
Well, right now, people are thrilled that the president made a commitment to increase our readiness. Bottom line, war fighters do not feel comfortable having equipment that doesn't work. Lea emphasized that we only have 3 of the 50 combat brigades capable in the United States Army, capable of going to combat. Basically, when the admiral testified in front of the Senate, he said, you know, we have a team, that first-round team can go to fight, but our bench is depleted. So what this means is we do have a very rugged force right now because they are combat hardened. But what has happened is we would not be able to go after a primary adversary such as China or Russia. We are in a critical stage. The Defense Department, I must stress this, between 2011 and 2014 lost $100 billion. 15 years of war, delayed budgets, and in the end, this has impacted the troops and our readiness.
And hopefully it will be fixed, and I think it will. Here's Lou.